This map shows the borders of the Neo-Assyrian Empire in 671 BC. As it expands outward from northern Mesopotamia, it swallows Egypt, the Levant, Anatolia, and modern-day Iran, forming the largest and first true superpower the world had ever seen. To manage this territory, the Assyrians developed a revolutionary administrative machine. They maintained a vast road network and a sophisticated relay system for state communications, allowing the king to exert tight central control over millions of subjects across thousands of miles. To project this power, they built monumental architecture on a scale that defied imagination. Massive winged bull colossi, weighing up to 40 tons, guarded towering city walls, stone monoliths hauled into place by the raw, straining muscle of thousands of laborers. To anyone alive in the mid-7th century BC, the Neo-Assyrian Empire appeared to be an invincible, eternal force that would dictate the future of the world forever. Faster, more urgent tone, but skip forward just a few decades to August 612 BC, and the imperial capital, Nineveh, is under siege. The city's legendary defenses are breached by the flooding Tigris River. The capital is burned to the ground, its palaces are gutted, and the Assyrian king is killed in the chaos. Within 3 years, the entire empire ceases to exist. Its massive cities are permanently depopulated and abandoned to the desert sands. How does a highly engineered global superpower go from peak absolute dominance to complete extinction in the span of a single human lifetime? The engine of the empire was ideological. Kings ruled by divine mandate from the god Ashur, obligated to conquer the chaos of the outside world. This relief showing a king grappling with a lion is a literal depiction of their duty to violently expand civilization. They executed this mandate through military innovation, deploying standing armies and advanced siege warfare. This stone relief shows the results: specialized siege ladders and systematic, brutal impalements used as terror tactics to break the will of any who resisted. Once a region fell, the state initiated mass resettlement. This carved line of displaced families and livestock represents hundreds of thousands of people forcibly relocated to the Assyrian Heartland to dilute local identities and prevent rebellion. This centralized system functioned solely on the extraction of resources and the constant threat of terrifying retribution against insubordinate vassals. While this engine fueled rapid outward expansion, it was generating immense internal friction by alienating and traumatizing every population under its rule. The capital city of Dur-Sharrukin was the physical manifestation of this ego-driven power. These ruined stone pillar bases show the grand scale of an architecture designed specifically to intimidate. King Sargon II custom-built this city from scratch, using forced labor and canceled debts to assert his absolute personal authority. But when Sargon unexpectedly died in battle, the psychological illusion of divine invincibility was shattered. Because the city was built as a personal monument to a king the gods had seemingly abandoned, it was immediately deemed tainted. Sargon's successor walked away from the project, leaving the new city to become a ghost town. The city's rapid decay mirrored the empire it anchored, a massive structure that appeared indestructible until the specific person at its center was removed. By the late 7th century, the empire was geographically overextended. This map highlights the supply lines that were being bled white by endless, indecisive wars in distant regions like Egypt and Elam. At the same time, the state failed to resolve the Babylonian problem, the repeated, violent refusal of southern Mesopotamia to accept Assyrian rule. The trigger for collapse came with the death of King Ashurbanipal. His passing sparked a bitter succession crisis that fractured the ruling class and weakened central control. This clay chronicle, a primary forensic record of the era, details what happened next, a bitter 12-year struggle. The text reveals that the Babylonians and Medes formed an unprecedented united alliance to strike their weakened oppressor. Centuries of systematic terror had finally provided a single, overwhelming incentive for every disparate rival to cooperate. When the coalition reached the Heartland in 612 BC, the Assyrians had no internal defensive contingencies. They hadn't been invaded in 500 years. This relief captures the overwhelming force of the coalition as they breached the outer walls and pushed into the palaces. Once the professional military was overwhelmed, there were no loyal populations to fall back on. only millions of subjugated people who were content to watch the palaces burn. The Assyrian state was erased almost instantly. Wealth and power shifted back to the south, and as these vibrant blue-glazed bricks of the Babylonian gate suggest, the center of the world moved to Babylon. Though the empire vanished, its administrative and military innovations provided the blueprint for future world empires. But the lesson remains. An empire built exclusively on extraction and fear operates like a diamond. It is incredibly hard and capable of cutting through anything, but it cannot bend. When the pressure shifts, it is destined to shatter.